Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about the life of Chuck. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. Okay. Well, reviews for this movie are quite good. It has a 82% critic score, 88% audience score. So, obviously, that's good. So, that's a pro right there. Another pro. Let's look at the cast here. Got quite a few names in here. Main guy is Tom Hiddleston. Loki himself. That's like his main claim to fame was his role as Loki in the MCU, where he was first in Thor. Then he was the main villain in the first Avengers movie. That was in Thor: Dark World. Then Thor Ragnarok. Then he died in Avengers Infinity War. Then Endgame, he was able to mess things up in the past, which resulted in his show. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna be in Doomsday, I think. I don't remember, but yeah, Loki, that's his main claim to fame. But outside of MCU, he's been in other movies, okay? But most of them are just like, movies no one really paid attention to. Like, I guess his biggest one outside the MCU was easily Kong Skull Island, but that was very much an ensemble flick. There's also Crimson Peak, but that was a bit of a that was a bit of a flop. So yeah, most of his main claim to fame is the MCU and being Loki in the MCU. So, but he's very recognizable because of said role. So that helps. Who else do we got? Oh, speaking of the MCU, another MCU veteran in here. He's only been like in two movies, but still. Chifwal. I could never pronounce this dude's name. He's such a good actor. Yeah, I can't pronounce his name. I feel like I'm disrespecting him, but it's not intentional. Chifwal Efwar. That's the best I'm gonna do. I apologize, but yeah, this dude's been around for quite a long time. He's mainly like a supporting actor type of guy in a lot of these movies. Yeah, I very much remember him from the movie 2012. Remember him from that. So it was like that. He was the main guy in 12 Years a Slave. I remember that. He was in that. He was the Martian. He was in Doctor Strange, and then Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Let's see what else. Oh, he voiced Scar in the 2019 Lion King movie. I completely forgot he did that. And he apparently was in Maleficent Mission. I had no clue about that either. Okay. I remember he was in Venom The Last Dance. He just kind of existed. He didn't really. As far as I remember, he was just like a military guy, I think. Something like that. And he didn't. He was just kind of there. And that was kind of his role. um. Obviously, I can't talk about Bridget Jones because it didn't get a theatrical release here in the States. It was on Peacock. It was released theatrically outside the States, but here, nope. So I can't talk about that. But yeah, dude here is very recognizable. So who else do we have? Anyone else I would recognize? A lot of these names I just don't recognize. Karen Gillian. Nebula. Oh my gosh, we're just getting a bunch of MCU people up in here. We got Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. So obviously that was her role as Nebula in the MCU. That's Karen Gillian's main claim to fame. But she was also in the Jumanji movies as a Ruby Roundhouse. So that helps too. But yeah, that's mainly what she's been doing, like her main roles. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, not much else really to say, but, you know, Lover's Nebula. And it's crazy that she was like she ended up being like one of the main characters. in Endgame, which is something that I would not have predicted like back in 2014. But that's just what happened. So, yeah. So Karen Gillian, Matthew Lillard, Shaggy himself. Like I gotta talk about him. Yeah, he's mostly like a. Some of these are like supporting role types, but like not really in the main role. But obviously, he was one of the killers in Scream. There's other movies like I guess She's All That. But his main claim to fame was his role as Shaggy in the live action Scooby Doo movies that were written by James Gunn, I should add. I feel like I have to add that. But those two movies, Scooby Doo and Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, at the time they were ridiculed, but now they're seen as masterpieces. Because people back then, they just didn't get it. They didn't understand, what they were looking at. Clearly, they had bad judgment. But yeah, and he was so good. He was so perfectly cast as Shaggy that he ended up being the official voice for Shaggy and like actual other Scooby Doo related media, a lot of the cartoons and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty iconic if you ask me. Um, what else? There's Without a Paddle. Uh, I see The Descendants. Oh, Five Nights at Freddy's. He was in that. I know that, and he's gonna be in the sequel too. So yeah, but Matthew Lillard, I mainly know him as live action Shaggy, one of the best casting decisions of all time, hands down. Anyone else I recognize? Jacob Tremblay. Okay, recognized him. Okay, he's 18. He's actually an adult now. Damn, I feel so old. Because I remember this kid was like, what, five? I don't even remember. Like in Smurfs, he debuted in Smurfs too as like Neil Patrick Harris and like I forgot the actress who was with him, like their kid. And I remember him from that, and then from that to Room, which was like a highly acclaimed movie. Like really going from like one end of the spectrum to the other when it comes to quality. And he played Augie in Wonder back in 2017, which was like a big old hit that nobody saw coming. Oh no. Oh. Oh, not the Predator. That was the movie where his character was autistic, and the movie made the ill-advised claim that autism was like a superpower or like the next step of like human evolution. And yeah, that was just a big old yikes right there. It's a yeet. That's a no. Ugh. Just gonna move on from that. He's in Good Boys, a movie that did quite well for itself. He voiced Flounder. I did not know that at all. I didn't know that one bit. Did he voice? I'm pretty sure he voiced in Luca. I think he voiced Luca himself. Yeah, but I guess it makes sense it's not here. I mean, it's not like it got a. Well, it did get a theatrical release here, like 3 years after the fact. When it first came out, it was on. It was, booted to Disney Plus. But yeah, I should mention, Luca should be here, but it's not. But oh well. But yeah, Jacob Tremblay. The fact that he's an adult now is crazy to me. Because it doesn't feel that long ago when he was just like a kid. So the time's really moving fast. Then last but not least, we got Mark Hamill. I mean, do I even need to explain this man? I mean, this is Luke Skywalker for crying out loud. But yeah, there's just a lot of movies here. So obviously, Luke Skywalker, duh. He's mainly known for like being like on screen and like in live action, but also doing like voiceover roles for obviously, he was the Joker. Like he was the voice of Joker for such a long time, along with Kevin Conroy's Batman. Like it's like those two together were like, like those were like Batman and Joker, like in terms of like, voices. And since Kevin Conroy is no longer with us, Mark Hamill has said that he won't reprise his role as Joker because like why even like go on without him, which makes sense. But so Mark Hamill is known as like the main voice of Joker in most Batman media, most shows, games, and whatnot. Besides that, in the live action sphere, he hasn't really done a whole lot, really, besides be Luke Skywalker. A lot of these movies are just kind of like whatever movies. Oh no, not Batman the Killing Joke. We're just gonna move on from that. Ugh. Yeah, mostly like voiceover roles, not like really being like on screen. But people very much know who he is. I mean, you'd be crazy to not know who he is at this point. But yeah, we got quite a few recognizable faces in here. I don't know about the rest of these people. I've never heard of them in my life, so I can't really comment on them. But yeah, we got enough recognizable people in here, so I'll label that as a pro. Um, Another pro, I guess, the fact that apparently this is based off a short story by Stephen King. Stephen King's, like, the man, like the horror writer out there, but this very much isn't a horror movie. And Stephen King, I mean, going through like, can I even like go through like all his movies? It's probably like a, you know what? Mm, I'll probably just explain it here. Stephen King movies, they can be real hit or miss, like extremely hit or miss. You have some that are quite good, like the It movie, well, at least It Chapter 1. And, there's that, there's like Misery, The Shining. Yeah, that was Stephen King, yeah. Stuff like that. But at the same time, you also have movies like, The Dark Tower and trying to think of some other really bad ones. Was it Sleepwalker? No, Dreamcatchers? Something like that. I think it was. I will. You know what? I'm gonna look it up real quick just to make sure I'm getting. Yeah, Dreamcatcher. Yeah. Yeah. Oof. People really hate that movie. um. Yeah, but in general, Stephen King adaptations can be very hit or miss. That's just how it is. But I guess having his name here doesn't hurt. And you got like Mike Flanagan. What has he made? Okay. Mike Flanagan here being made by him. He's also known for a lot of horror movies and shows. He was responsible for some Netflix horror shows that were very well received. And funny enough, look at that, directed Doctor Sleep, a movie that was received well but flopped financially because, you know, for pretty obvious reasons, like the fact they made a sequel, basically a sequel to The Shining, a movie that came out like almost like 40 years prior. Of course, it wasn't going to do well. like, I don't know what they were expecting, but Mike Flanagan has a pretty solid reputation, especially like in the horror sphere. So, yeah, I'd say that having his name here is also a pro. And that's kind of it. Pro. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Cons. Okay, this movie had like a limited run last week and only did like 14K per theater average, which is really not ideal for this movie. I mean, we just saw like the Phoenician Scheme do like way better than this. And Friendship, same thing. Both those movies did way better with their per theater averages. And this did a whole lot worse, which doesn't bode well for this weekend when it becomes like a wide release. So, yeah, say week limited run. I will label that as a con. I guess another con is that when it comes to like adult flicks, I guess non-blockbuster adult flicks out there. I mean, last week you have Phoenician Scheme. This week you got Materialist, which is expected to do pretty decent. So you got like those two movies out there. And then you got some other movies coming on like later on. I don't think 28 years later is gonna do make much of a dent, but I feel like F1 the movie might make a comparatively more of a dent, but probably by that point this movie's gonna be out of theaters anyway. So yeah, I guess competition from like Materialist and Phoenician Scheme for that adult crowd, I will label that as a con. Not to mention the competition in general is very fierce, so that's a con too. Um, That's another con. It's just the lack of like buzz, lack of hype, lack of anything. It's very concerning. Like no one like really cares about this movie, and obviously that's gonna do a movie in more than anything else. So that's a con. And yeah, I think that's it. So opening weekend. I mean, I don't even know how many theaters this is gonna open in, but I could check. But I don't think there's a proper number out there. It's probably like 1,000 or something, but I need to check. Do I have a number? Number? No. Okay, no number. So, but I think I checked my notes. It's probably like 1,000. So because of that and just lack of buzz and everything, I think I'm gonna go with an open weekend of like $1 million to $2 million and a final total of less than five, definitely. Probably 3 to 5 million, I'd say. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bit worse. But yeah, that's it for Life of Chuck. Okay, two more movies. We got Materialist, and then we got Unholy Trinity, and then we're done for the weekend. So yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? Got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made this year or the past few years. You want to watch any of them, go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. May recap, I plan on doing that Sunday, and my June recap won't be till like the second weekend of July when Superman comes out. So stay tuned for that as well. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I went over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. There's 250 episodes, so if you want to binge all those episodes from beginning to end, if you want to do that, I highly suggest you do it. So go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.